Hi, Lucas again. Right now we're going to talk about the animals, okay? I'm gonna share my screen so I can show you my PowerPoint about the animals, okay? So, Lucas, we were talking about your favorite animals. I remember being a cat and a dog and a shark, okay? That's cool. I think my favorite animal is a dog because I really like Scotty. Then I really like an animal called a quokka, which is like kind of like a tiny kangaroo that is really happy. It's cute. Okay, so we're gonna know more about animals and what do they need, okay? So remember, we have talked about it before, but environment, it's everything that is surrounding a plant or an animal, a living thing, okay? And animals live in different places, okay? Um, and they are just right for their environment. And in that way, animals are able to live, to grow, and to multiply. That means to have babies, okay? But for them, to be in an environment, it has to be the right one. And environments can change in different things, in temperature, so meaning how hot or how cold something is, in the type of soil that they have, in light, how much light do they receive, and the amount of water, okay? And each environment is unique, so the animals that are there are unique to that environment, okay? For our vocabulary today, we're going to talk about Celsius. Celsius is a scale of temperature. We use that scale in Peru to measure how hot or how cold something is. Here, for example, we know in the Celsius scale that water starts freezing at 0 or melting at 0 degrees and starts boiling at 100 Celsius degrees. Boiling means that the water starts becoming gas, water vapor. Okay? Energy, it's a power or force of something. Environment, it's the conditions around something. Evaporate, you know this, it's when water starts becoming gas in the air because it's so hot. Expanding it with something starts taking more and more space and growing. And Fahrenheit. Remember that I told you before that here in Peru, we measure our temperature by a scale called Celsius. But some people in other countries measure it by another scale called Fahrenheit, okay? So they're measuring the same temperature that us, but by a different scale. Like kind of like what happened with meters that we use here in Peru or yards and inches that they use in another country, okay? So when you use the the Fahrenheit scale, water starts freezing at 32 degrees and starts boiling at 212. So it's different from Celsius, but they're still measuring the same thing, how hot or how cold something is, okay? And then another word for our vocabulary, it's moderate. Moderate means between hot and cold. It's not too hot, not too cold, just right. Moisture, which means water, humedad. Okay, multiply to increase, something gets bigger and bigger. Observe means to look, to see, and also to learn from what you're watching. Okay, and survive means to stay alive. Okay, now we can talk about how does temperature, measure heat, affects an environment. And also, I forgot about this, thermometers are a tool to measure how hot something is. That's probably what you have seen when if you had a fever or one of your siblings had a fever and your mom or dad put on a thermometer on your mouth or your armpit to see how hot or how cold you are. Sorry, Aldana just went through. She has to do something. And then unique or special, it's when something is different from the other things, okay? Now we can talk about the environment now that we know those words, okay? Some parts of the earth are very hot and some parts of the earth are very cold. Some parts of the earth have temperatures that are in between, called moderate, okay? And plants and animals are able to live in different parts of the earth, but each animal and plant adapts to its own environment, okay? Animals that live in hot places must be able to store water. Like what we talk about of the camel. The camel stores water in its hump, in su joroba. And they can survive long periods of time with smaller amounts of water. And then there are other types of animals that have to adapt to living in really cool places. Like the polar bear. The polar bear has a thick layer of fur and fat, and that keeps him warm, okay? And that way he survived to cold winters, okay? Also, people, like, you know, have a brain. God gave us a brain, and we use our brain to create things. Like people created that thermometer. That thermometer is a tool, like I explained just a little bit before, to measure how hot things are on the earth, okay? So a thermometer is gonna show 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit when water is boiling. And a thermometer is gonna show 100 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Fahrenheit when water starts freezing or when ice starts melting. Water is the only thing in Earth that is gonna boil at 100 degrees Celsius and it's gonna freeze at 0 degrees Celsius. And animals are not able to live in places where it's hot enough for water to boil, like naturally boil. If water in the oceans become hot enough to boil, the oceans would evaporate and they, like the animals would be dead. So thank God that that doesn't happen. Okay, water. Water affects an environment. Animals need the right amount of water to live, to grow, to have babies. Okay, and some animals need a lot of water and other animals don't need that much water. Okay, and water, something cool about water is that it expands, it gets bigger when it's frozen, when it freezes. And that's why ice cubes float on water and ice floats on water in general. That's why, for example, if there's a really cold place, a lake or a pond freezes, si un lago, un arroyo, un charco se congela, the animals are gonna go to the bottom of that lake and they're gonna be able to live there because ice is on the top floating, but they are not frozen, okay? It takes a lot of heat energy to cause water to get hot because water stores heat energy in a really good way. It doesn't get hot really fast or it doesn't lose heat that fast, okay? That's why places that are near water bodies, like for example, the beach, don't have like a really hot or cold temperature. They are moderate, okay? So in between, okay? And some waters don't have much water or moisture, okay? They receive less than 10 inches or 10 inches of rain, precipitation. And that's called a desert, okay? Deserts don't have to be hot, but the right definition of desert is somewhere where they don't get water, okay? Or they get very little water, okay? And animals adapt to that, like the camel, okay? And then, Lucas, we have light. Light also affects environment. Different environments have different amounts of light, okay? And green plants need that light to make food. And they need oxygen and then they need light. Sorry, they need carbon dioxide and they need light to make food and oxygen for other living things. Some environments are naturally very sunny and others are very shady. For example, if you're in the rainforest, it's gonna be shady because the trees are blocking the sunlight, okay? And different animals like different amounts of light. Some animals won't survive if they don't have the right amount of light for their kind. For example, some animals like living underground where there is dark, like worms, and if you put them in the sun, they're gonna die. Okay, and then soil. Soil also affects the type of environment that you have. God created many different kinds of rocks, and these rocks change to make different kinds of soil, tierra. In an environment, the kind of soil, temperature, light, and water needed by each plant and animal living there will be found. Some plants need more sandy soil, others need some more like soil that has clay, que tiene arcilla. Or like this, this picture of the animal, this is a mole, un topo, and they like living underground, and they need a specific type of soil. Okay, Lucas, that will be it for the class of today. You have to work on your test and your lesson 1, and I'll see you again next class.